Hey y'all, I'm James Wright. Welcome to my shop, and today we're talking about the flooring saw. Yes, I know, you are completely floored about this, aren't you? Let me set the scene for you. So imagine you're working on your brand new hardwood floor, and you need to cut a hole in the middle of the floor, so for maybe a vent or something of that nature. You might grab a circular saw and do a plunge cut. I hope it doesn't bind. You might grab a jigsaw and do that miraculous plunge cut and another blade gone. Or you might grab that weird, fanciful, vibratory saw. Those things are just like magic. You set them down and they cut. But wait, I'm from the 1800s. Well, what's that for? So the obvious answer to us is you bore a hole and then you grab a keyhole saw and you widen out the hole. But if you want to cut a long cut, this is kind of hard. Now you can just cut the saw line a little ways and then go get a panel saw to finish the cut. Or you can do all of that with a floor saw. Imagine for the moment, this is the floor you want to cut into. You draw your line and you put up a stop to hold it in place, and then you start cutting. And because this is curved, I'm only making a cut right here to here. And I just keep going on that line until we cut through the board. Wait a second, my flooring is 3/4 inch thick. How are you going to cut through it with a almost straight saw? Well, you keep at it. As long as your saw teeth come out the other side to remove the sawdust, you cut on the push stroke and the pull stroke. The back is also curved to match your hand so it can stay in put, and you just keep going. And there you go. Now you got a saw that can come through and cut your way out. These weird teeth on both sides allow you to stick into a hole and slowly widen it out more and more until you can get the whole thing down through the hole. This one was made by Atkins in about 1910, and it still works relatively well. It needs to be sharpened. It's actually really dull. It took me about 40-50 seconds to make that cut all the way through. But that's pine. If it were oak, I would want it to be sharpened. Interestingly enough, the teeth were filed crosscut because you might be going with the grain or across the grain. In that case, you probably want crosscut. It's easier to rip cut with a crosscut saw than it is to crosscut with a rip cut saw. Now, to be fair, not even Dodson made a lot of these. They just weren't that common. You didn't commonly need to cut a hole in the middle of the floor. And if you did, well, you could grab your drill bit and your keyhole saw, which were far more common because they could be used on a lot of other things. But if you were that rare flooring expert and that's what you did, then you might want to pick this up because it's a one-trick pony that does that one job really well. The handle is actually kind of interesting. This is another saw made by Atkins at almost the exact same time. And you can see the lamb's tongue looks about the same on these two. But this one doesn't have a horn on top. And it's got this finger point so your finger can actually wrap around and pull it like a trigger. That's because you're not just sawing straight back and forth. Sometimes you're getting on top and putting your weight down on the saw, and so you want to be able to shift your hand up. But it does still have the horn down here so you can balance it between your ring finger and the back of your palm. That's why this horn is the most valuable thing on any saw, because that's how you hold the saw. You balance it between your ring finger and the back of your palm. I bought this saw about 3 years ago thinking I would do a video on it eventually, and never quite got around to it because it needed a little bit of work. But then the day came. I was gonna cut a vent in my floor. I needed to cut a rectangular hole in the middle of my floor. I have a floor saw. This will be a great video. And then I found out how dull this was, and it was gonna take a long time to sharpen it and set it. So what did I do? I bored a couple holes and I cut it out because the time to set this up and actually sharpen it wasn't quite worth it because it had gotten very dull over the years and all the set had been taken off the teeth. But here we are. I've finally gotten around to the point where I want to make the video on a flooring saw. And so I had to take about an hour to set all the teeth and do a sharpening on it. And I needed to do more sharpening on it. It just wasn't quite there. But it's enough that I could actually make the cut and make it happen. So yeah, do I ever have a use for this? Probably not. I don't intend on cutting any holes directly into my floor anytime soon. So until then, I've got a floor saw, but I don't know what to do with it. So next time you're at an antique shop and you come across a handsaw that thinks it's a scimitar, you can say, hey, wait a second, I know what that is. And then the shopkeeper will say, great, do you want to buy it? And you'll be like, yeah, not really. So I hope you like this. If you have any questions, thoughts, ideas, snide remarks, throw those in the comments down below. I do read through all of them and I answer as many of them as I can get to. And it helps out the channel. Like, comment, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. No, really, we are actually looking at doing some new things with Patreon. So if you have any ideas of things you'd like to do, just let me know. We're going to have a little bit of fun over there. But if you want to find out more about that, links down below. Help sponsor this channel because we are not sponsored by Atkins anymore. They don't exist. If you want to find out more about that, you know what to do. I think that'll do it for now. And until next time, have a wonderful day. Say, why are you smiling so much? I can't help it, man. I'm floored.